Sometimes you gotta take chances and do things that may seem a little crazy or a little scary to take things to the next level. That's what David and I are doing this summer. Are we crazy?
Well, yes, we're crazy.
Welcome back to Maplewood Homestead. My name is Nancy, and this is my favorite time of the year, not just because it's growing season, which I really love, but because my husband, who's a school teacher, gets to stay home for the summer and do all of this full time with me. Actually, this summer we decided to jump into a project that's pretty risky for us and a bit scary, but figured it would push us in the area of our faith and really taking us to the next level on our farm. Before we get into that though, I want to wait for David to be around before we talk about that. So while we're waiting on him, let's go for a tour of what's been growing in our garden and on our property and how things are going. All right, let's head into the greenhouse. Let me show you what I've been growing. So over here in the corner, this is some of my herbs that have got to get transplanted out into those planters. The dill, we love dill. I use dill in a lot of my rabbit recipes. It just goes really well together. So I have many dill plants. Some will go in the planter boxes. The others are going to go out in the garden as companion plants. And I just love to see the flowers. When they're fully grown, they make these beautiful big bouquets, and the pollinators love them. Additionally, oh look, this is a lightning bug. Have you ever seen a lightning bug? Not at night. That's what they look like. Hello, little lightning bug. You can live here, it's fine. Catnip as a companion plant. They have medicinal purposes for catnip. I can't remember what they are, but we do have cats, so I thought I would grow some catnip for them, and then I can look up the medicinal properties of catnip. But we also have peppermint. And I'm going to put those two into the planter boxes because catnip and peppermint are both, of course, in the mint family. And if you know anything about mint, they will take over whatever area you plant them in. So I want to be really careful, and then I'm only going to plant them in the planter boxes. We have a couple cilantro here, and they don't look too amazing. So I did replant, and I'll show you that in a second. But that's my little herb corner that needs to get transplanted out into the planter. And here is a bunch of plants that really need to get out into the garden. Look at how big this leaf is. This is one of my pickling cucumber plants, believe it or not. Look at this. Pickling cucumber. It really needs to go outside. So I've got a few of those, and they're already starting to flower. And the only reason I have not transplanted them before now is we've had so much rain, and there's more coming later on today, and tomorrow, I guess I should say. There's more coming tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna probably hold off for a couple more days and wait till things dry up a bit. We do have Roma tomatoes, and look at this plant's huge, and some purple Cherokee tomatoes. Plus I have another brand, I think they're Questrally, I believe they're called. I'm also going to be planting. So peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers in this box, and they desperately need to go outside. These are things that we do eat a lot of. Here are my beefsteak tomatoes, the last of them. They have been hanging out in here because I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put them because I have other tomato varieties that I want to put out. So I'm probably going to repot these and maybe either give them away or sell them. I'm not sure yet. But something needs to happen fast because they're starting to show signs of being very unhealthy looking because I've left them in these little tiny pots. So in any case, behind these, I have a tray. They are going to have to be up potted soon or planted outside. And these are the seeds that were bigger seeds that the mice came in and dug up and ate. So I've got sugar baby watermelons and butternut squash, cantaloupe, zucchini, and I also reseeded some more large cherry tomatoes. Again, I'm going to probably pop those and bring them to the farmer's market with me. Then here I had repotted my peppers because I only got a few plants, saved them from the mice attack. And then these back here are all Rachel's flowers. She replanted some flowers. So I don't know exactly what she has back there, but she's working on that, so I'm not going to touch them. Additionally, for my vegetables, I had planted these a little bit sooner, was some more large red cherry tomato plants to repot and sell. Also some yellow squash. We love yellow squash. We like yellow squash even better than zucchini. And so I grew a bunch of those plants. Those look like they're ready to go outside as well. Here's the Quasterly tomatoes I was telling you about. So I've got a bunch of those. But I also have been growing herbal things to go out into the planters as well, such as echinacea, sage, oregano. Oregano's coming up really nice. And mullein, which I've never ever grown before. So that's it for the greenhouse. So before I take you on the garden tour, I want to make you aware of something. In our family, we've really leaned heavily into a ketogenic diet, heavily meat-based. So you're going to see that I don't grow a ton of vegetables as if we are going to be eating a lot of vegetables. Some of our vegetables are actually even going to be feeding the animals that we wind up eating. So you're going to see a lot of things like tomatoes and peppers because those are the things we often add to our meat dishes to give it flavor. Things like potatoes, we stay away from the heavy starches. Those kinds of things we don't really grow here. Now, I will tell you the exceptions to that are going to be butternut squash and summer squash. We really, really enjoy those. I want to update you on my planter boxes. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and look at the link above on how I filled them for free. Somebody gifted me these lovely cedarwood planter boxes, and I've decided that this is going to be my herb garden. So here are my garden planter boxes, and these are cedar boxes that somebody gifted to me that they were done with. So I decided to make them my herbal boxes, and as you can see here, I did include strawberries, however, in here. So this particular planter has strawberries and borage, which I read was a good companion plant for strawberries. It has some medicinal qualities. I don't know what they are, but I'll be looking it up since I'm letting them grow along with the strawberries. And this random sunflower seed got in there somehow, and I'm okay with that. We'll see what that looks like. Over in this planter box, I have some more strawberries and some calendula. And it looks like something ate the top of my calendula over here, and it's trying to regroup and grow some more, which is fine. Also, this had a little bit of transplant shock, as you can see, but this is apple mint, but it seems to be recovering pretty well over here. And we go over one more box, and this is kind of empty, but in this box I have rosemary that my friend gave me cuttings for. I've never been successful growing it from seed, but I was able to successfully get these rooted, and now they're growing wonderfully in this box. And one of my favorite soaps to make, oh, that smell is wonderful. One of my favorite soaps to make is rosemary spearmint. So, that just smells so, so yummy. All right, headed over to these three boxes. This box is currently empty, and I'm going to show you some herbs that have to go in here. But as you can see, this is waste hay from the barn that I covered the soil with. Over here, I've tried something new, and that's echinacea. I've never grown echinacea before, and I think we're all familiar with how echinacea is just good when you're sick to help you recover and boost your immunity. So I've got a few batches of that growing. Plus, I'm growing calendula, more calendula over here. The reason I'm growing calendula is I read how it has medicinal properties for like your skin and healing wounds. So I'm looking forward to learning how to put these into a salve. So leaving the calendula and going over to this bed, I have something called lemon balm. lemon balm is supposed to be really good for helping with anxiety and insomnia. And so I'm going to probably dry these out and make teas from it. Additionally, you can use it for indigestion and bloating. So it's got a couple different purposes. And so it was just a great herb for me to try growing. And of course, I got some more calendula in between the plants over here. So yeah, so those are my garden boxes, my planter boxes. And I'm excited to see how this goes out. Ultimately, we're trying to go more towards a permaculture feel to our garden. And one of the things that I've tried planting is this special willow. This willow was formulated in a university up north, and they haven't modified it at all, but they've kept breeding and rebreeding for the best characteristics in this particular willow. So it emulates a lot of the same nutritional value as an alfalfa plant does. I've grew these specifically to raise our rabbits on. And this will be our third year having them, and they started out as little sticks. So I'm actually going to take more cuttings from this, and that will be another video on what we plan on doing with that. Underneath them, I have comfrey planted. You can see over here I have comfrey, which are always great to plant next to trees or bushes in this case. And underneath that, I have more strawberries, which, yes, very weedy, and my Egyptian walking onions. These are actually transplants, so this is their first season here in this particular spot, and they're already putting on little bulbs. These are great to use like green onions, and then you can actually take these and plant them in the ground and they'll grow a whole new plant, and you can kind of see it evidenced on this. I like these. They're onions that keep replanting themselves. If I leave these, this whole area will become green onions, and I am perfectly okay with that. Here is our garden. As you can see, David built me a trellis for my loofah gourds. I do have 2 more planter boxes. I'm trying to decide what I want to do with those, but for now they sit vacant. Got any suggestions? Let me know. And here are my loofah gourd plants. What you're going to notice about all of my plants is they don't look amazing, and it's because we have got more rain than we know what to do with. And so all of my plants have wet feet and they are not happy about it. Although they, like here, look at my basil. So much water and not really good enough drainage. Also, I have to come in and put some of these up on stakes now. They're definitely at that point. You can tell this needs to happen. But it's just been raining so much here, and trying to keep up with it all has not been easy. You're going to notice as I walk around that I have trios of peppers, tomatoes, and basil. And in between these trios, I've decided to plant some squash. So here is a good example of a trio. We have some purple Cherokee over here and some beefsteak tomato there. And then another jalapeno. I have a bunch of little volunteer tomato plants around this garden too, so I might leave some of them just to see. Again, purple Cherokee tomato, a pepper. This is a jalapeno. Another purple Cherokee. Purple Cherokee is one of my family's favorite tomatoes. We like slicing them and eating them with mozzarella and basil. And the mozzarella comes from my goats, and the basil also comes from the garden. Now these, which are taking a beating at the moment, looks like flea beetles got to these. I'm going to have to spray when it decides to stop raining for a minute. These were seeds that I got from those little green, these were seeds that I got out of those small bell peppers from the grocery store. So they actually did grow. Here's my Tramontino squash. It's doing great. And this was a mystery tomato plant. I don't know what it was. It volunteered in the greenhouse. And look, it's already making some pretty cool looking tomatoes. So here I have the Genovese basil and the mystery tomato with a Tramontino. Oops, this guy fell over. Tramontino, tomato, basil. Tramontino, tomato, basil. And already my basil is starting to flower. So I'll pinch off those flowers so that I can get more leaves from it. But it's looking much better than it did. Tramontino squash is really amazing because when it's young, you can eat it like zucchini. And as it gets older, it'll harden off and look just like a butternut squash and keep for long-term storage through the winter. Plus, we're going to use a lot of it for animal fodder. I've planted some lavender and some butterfly bushes over here. It looks like I have another volunteer tomato plant that decided, these suckers, I'm telling you. So here is a butterfly bush that seems to be trying to adapt really well considering all the wetness that we've had. And a lavender, which has surprisingly done really well considering the amount of rain we've had. And these 5 plants are cucumbers. And okay, the trellis isn't the most beautiful thing in the world, but it will work and it will be covered by the time this all grows up. Additionally, I've planted these bush beans. No, they're not bush beans. I'm sorry. I planted these pole beans and I have to make a tripod for them to grow up on. You can tell this one's already looking for something to reach out to. So when this next round of rain that's starting tomorrow comes through, I think I'll go ahead and get something going for them. So I have them on both sides. So if you can imagine, I have this in the middle, but then I'll have a tripod here for them to climb up and a tripod over here for these green beans to climb up. That's something else I wanted to show you. Let me show you my fancy fencing to keep deer out. This is 30-pound fishing line and T-posts. I usually do 3 or 4 levels of it, and the deer will come and walk into it, and it's strong enough to withstand quite a lot of pressure without it breaking. But if they can't see it, they won't jump it. So they feel something and stop and will turn around and walk away from it. Again, I've not had an issue with deer since I've used this fencing for the last 5 or 6 years. And it's incredibly inexpensive. So you can't see it, but it goes all the way around. David's back and working on something in the shop, so we'll catch up with him in a minute. But until then, let's go visit some other things that I've got growing here. Number 1 would be my elderberries. I believe this is their 3rd or 4th year here. This one didn't do so well. Look at that. Little blossoms that have turned into berries. I love it. Here's a floret that's completely flowers. Look at those delicate little flowers. So pretty. This plant, planted at the same time, must just be in just the right spot because it's doing so much better. I use elderberry for medicinal purposes. I know people use them for jams and jellies, but because we don't do jams and jellies, I just save them I save them in the freezer and use them to make syrup for the winter when we're sick. But it's also just so pretty to have out here. Look at that. And the great part is they grow wild all over the place here. You're gonna have to forgive me. This video was shot in the 2-day series because I accidentally deleted some of the videos that I needed. So I had to go back and re-record. So anyway, onward we go. Over here is our comfrey. So in addition to growing those willows for the rabbits, comfrey is amazing, not just for people, but for rabbits and for goats. You can see this has grown prolifically. I haven't done anything except put mulch down this year, and it has just taken off. The other beautiful thing about comfrey is these little flowers bring pollinators. And the thing about these flowers is they won't reproduce. These are a sterile flower. This is the Russian version of comfrey. And the only way they propagate is through rhizomes under the ground. So I can just leave this here and it'll keep sending out rhizomes. And because I have the border, it's not spread beyond that yet. So it may eventually, but not right now, it hasn't. In addition to being great nutrition for my goats and rabbits, I have used this when I've injured my knee, made a poultice and wrapped it up in it. So it has some really great medicinal properties as well. So I love comfrey. It really is like the wonder plant for the farm. Lastly, I can just chop and drop these as fertilizer for my garden too. So yeah, love my comfrey. Okay, you're done now.
Yeah, I'm done. At least for now.
Well, I have a question I've been wanting to ask you that I've been telling them that we were going to talk about when you were finished.
Oh, yeah.
This is a really serious question.
Okay.
Are we crazy?
Well, yes, we're crazy. Of course we are. But in a good kind of crazy.
Guys, I have to tell you, when I came back from the Women's Homestead Conference, it allowed me to see that we could do so much more for our community and for our farm and bring in some more income if we just stepped out in faith and took a chance. And we've decided to do that. You want to tell them what we did?
Yeah. We've never had this many before on our farm at one time. But we purchased 110 meat bird chickens.
Yeah, because the most we've ever done is
25
at one shot.
in one shot.
So that's what makes it really scary. Because the other thing is we've only put up 25 birds in our refrigerator. What if we don't sell them all?
We've got extra birds then. We got to figure something out real quick if we don't sell them all. Yeah, that's kind of the scary part, because now what we've decided to do is to provide high quality meat bird chicken for our communities. I mean, so it's not just for us,
Yeah.
but now we're going to be selling it.
That's kind of the scary part, is learning how to market, learning how to put it out there. And honestly, though, we figured at the end of the day, 100 chickens really isn't that much. I mean, it is, especially now taking care of them. But that's only 2 chickens a week. And with a family of 5, that's really not hard to go through. So,
Well, that's what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
If we calculate what our family would eat
Mhm.
over the course of about a year, 100 chickens is right on.
right,
Just not all at the same time. So here we go.
here we go.
That's right. Full speed ahead.
There you have it. We want to be our area's producer of pasture-raised chickens. And while it makes us nervous, we know that with God going before us, no matter what the outcome is, it'll all work out. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.